Welcome to episode 4 of Anime Figure Archive, where we finally take a look at the Yuna 1/4 bunny from Bear Panda. She has an MSRP of 9,600 yen if you imported her from AmiAmi. You could actually get her even cheaper if you imported her straight from China, but 9,600 yen is crazy cheap for a 1/4. It's taken us this long to review it because I got the slowest shipping that I could because I didn't want to spend 9,600 yen on a figure just to spend that again on shipping. So I bought Surface Parcel. It cost me 3,930 yen. So I'm 13,530 yen into this figure, which equates to only 90 US dollars, which is an absolute steal for a 1/4. Super excited to open this because this is the second 1/4 scale figure from Bear Panda, which is our favorite Chinese company. Before we get into unboxing this, I will show you their original 1/4 scale Konata, point out some flaws in it that I hope that this one will address. If you're interested in this figure and would like to buy it new, you can find it on Solaris Japan for 13,000 yen, and you're going to be in about 4,000 yen for shipping. And if you don't mind pre-owned, you can get her secondhand on AmiAmi for as low as 8,500 yen. Again, Surface Parcel cost me 3,900 yen back in November. No crazy backstories here. The artist is named Biya, and as far as I can tell, she is a Chinese illustrator. And the figure that we're looking at today is based off this artwork here called Comiket Yuna-chan. Yuna being one of Biya's original characters. There are some differences between the figure and the artwork, but we'll talk about that in the artistry section. Before we unbox Yuna, let me show you Bear Panda's first 1/4 figure, which is Konata. We have a full in-depth review on this already that you can check out on screen, but let me go ahead and talk to you about some of the pain points that I hope they correct in Yuna. Most annoying pain point is that she wobbles because this base does not have any support structure underneath, thus it flexes. This must be addressed in Yuna. The next issue is on the gloss of her bunny suit, and I've bumped up the gain to try and show that to you on camera. You can see right here across the breast that the finish is not very even and the paint takes many holidays and doesn't have a very smooth gloss finish that you'd expect on like a freeing bunny. Yuna does have gloss black parts in her suit, so I'm hoping those are much cleaner. There is some sloppy glue work where you can see some excess right here. And lastly, the matte clear coat on the skin is not applied evenly, so there's many areas where it's missing and you can see lots of scratches on the plastic underneath. To end on a positive note, I do want to see this in Yuna because the hair is very clean, and we have great highlights here in her bangs and on the bottom of her hair. Moving back to Yuna, here is a very quick look at her box. And here is Yuna herself. We have a mix of improvements over Konata, but unfortunately I have some pretty serious quality control issues that I'll cover here in a second. But first, let's talk about the doujin here so I can remove it and you can see her face. This is a real doujin by Biya. It is a 28-page art book titled Yuna's Slightly Naughty Course Collection. It was sold at the C100 Comiket. It's UV printed, so unfortunately the resolution isn't that great, but it does look good from a distance. And flipping to the backside, we kind of have an Easter egg here. I forgot to mention that Biya is also a cosplayer. So this is literally her cosplaying her own original character, Yuna, and you can see her at Comiket selling this doujin. I'll also add that if you pre-ordered this figure from Billy, a bonus item was an actual small little doujin that you can flip through. And this is a good time to mention that she also comes with a Follow Me Eyes spare face. And here's a quick look of Yuna with Follow Me Eyes. I do think they look quite stunning on a 1/4 scale figure, and they work quite well. This is probably how I'll display it in the long run. For paint, we'll go ahead and talk about some of the good areas, such as the tattoo here that is applied nicely. Her face decals and blush are also set nicely. And we do get multiple highlights of pink in her hair, starting with the bangs, then continuing down her ponytail here, here, and here. The paint on the hair is very clean, just like it was in Konata, which is great to see. Overall, the skin is a major improvement as it generally has a nice soft matte finish, though in some areas such as the leg gap right here, it can be inconsistently applied. Overall, the gloss of the suit is significantly better and more consistent than Konata. And they also did a good job painting the silver details. And unfortunately, we reach my quality control issue, which is with her right bunny ear here. You can see this texture here is caused basically by super glue that I guess they got on it during the manufacturing process. And on the backside, you can see I now have someone's fingerprint information. And as typical of a female figure, they do not have any shading on the skin as it gives it a much softer appearance. They rely on the modeling to give it that depth. It is a shame that I had some quality control issues with some areas of the paint because overall this is a significant improvement over Konata. It's just more refined, everything from the skin to the gloss black of her suit. I would say this is now on par with your average freeing, which is kind of the standard for 1/4 scales, particularly with the bunnies, so I'm going to give it a 3 out of 5. For modeling in terms of the level of detail, I think what we have here is very adequate and on par once again with your average freeing bunny. I think the hair has an appropriate level of modeling detail for this size. The bunny suit itself is very clean and I don't see any visible part lines. The only visible part line I can see is on her tail here. The wrinkles in her sleeves are adequate, and the details in her boots are modeled well. There are still fitment issues as the ears take a ton of force to get in place. And then getting her to hold the dojin in the appropriate place can be a little finicky. Her arms are almost too wide apart, and there's not a lot of pressure between her fingers to hold it in place at the height that it's supposed to be at. It does get a little easier if you just rest it on her breasts. The sculpt overall is very clean, though I do think it's average. I do like the details they did on her stomach here. And then moving around to the back. Shit, that's a point right there, 4 out of 5. When looking at the base, we are moving in the right direction, but there is still room to improve. I do like that they have a matte finish now instead of the gloss. I didn't show you, but the Konata gloss base is completely scratched up. This hides them a lot better, though there are some around the feet. There are metal pins now holding her up, though they still don't have any support structure underneath. So although it sits flat now, and the base itself doesn't rock, Yuna herself is still pretty floppy, though significantly better than the wobble that we saw with Konata. Analyzing it some more, I do think the matte was a better choice given her gloss boots, so it does stand out a little better. Though overall, there's not much exciting here. There's still fundamental issues, so I'm still going to give it a 1 out of 5. For artistry here, I'm going to pull up the source material beside, and decisions were made, and I'm not sure if they were the right ones. You can see here that the figure's face they chose actually matches that of the dojin, and not the source artwork, where she's happy to be selling these. Don't get me wrong, this face is very cute, and I do like it. But I think they missed an opportunity to make the follow me eyes face match the happy smile that we see in the source material. I think if we got that, we would have received best of both worlds. As a whole, this is a far more interesting and exciting bunny to look at than freeing bunnies. I think holding up the comic is very endearing, and something I haven't really seen before. So although I think there's still room to improve and they missed an opportunity, I'm very pleased overall artistically with the design behind Yuna, so I'm going to give her a 4 out of 5. For value, this is a no-brainer. Chinese competition is great for our hobby, and 9,600 yen for this and only about $90 USD after even shipping it over here is an absolutely insane value, and they're doing a great job of bringing freeing down a peg or two. It gets a 5 out of 5. Overall, it's just very easy to be excited about Yuna here and easy to recommend, even with the quality control issue that I had. For the price that I paid, I'm happy to go to AmiAmi and see if I can get that straightened out. For certifications, there's just so many good things that I can say about this figure, such as being a good value, recommend, must buy, brings freeing down a peg or two. But probably one of the things I enjoy the most is actually kind of the silly nature of what this is. We have a 2D waifu at a real-life convention holding up a 2D dojin, right? But is this representing two-dimensional waifus? Or is this representing real life and she's supposed to be like a cosplayer holding up her cosplay book where this would actually be her real-life cosplays? But we know this also has been cosplayed as biya in real life to sell the 2D dojin. So we've converted a real-life character into a 2D waifu to convert her back into a 3D waifu to sell us on the 2D dojin. So with all the layers and rabbit holes and universes that this could actually represent, I'm just going to give it the Figception Award. I'm so glad I was finally able to showcase this figure for you all. I've been looking forward to it for months. If you like this kind of content, please subscribe. Take care.